Hello and welcome. I hope you can see me now, uh, and I hope this works. I've just clicked on. So yeah, it looks like I'm live. Is that right? It doesn't look like it from here. Ah, all right. Mm, right. It's. I can't believe what's going on here. Yes, this is working. However, live. So I just went live on there. Okay, getting all of this wrong. This is fucked up. Yeah, I know probably what I'm getting wrong. Probably, but uh, how am I gonna change this now? This is ridiculous. Sorry, guys. I. That's why I can't stand. I can't stand equilibrium. What in the world is going on here? That's why I can't stand technology. This is why it really always pisses me off. It always pisses me off. Always does, always will. This is ridiculous. Because let's make it complicated. Why have it simple? No, that would be too easy, wouldn't it? That would be too easy. No, let's I've got a great idea. Let's make it complicated. Yeah, shall we? All right. Fuck it. I'm gonna do this afterwards. Alright, fuck it. This is ridiculous. So, alright, I'm not gonna change this, and I just hope, alright, that everyone can see this. Bloody hell. Yeah, not supposed to be angry, do you? Yeah, well, that's the very problem we have in the world. Alright. There we are. Okay. I've still got the duty to share this link with the community on Telegram, so just give me a second. All things take time, it looks like, with me. This is really all this so seriously pisses me off. Oh boy. Where can I share it? And then you can't share it. Oh, now I can. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's nice. That's very kind of you. Alright. New link. Alright. Now I can move forward. So, could everyone give me a sign if they can see the slides now? Can you see the slide? Just someone write if they can see the slide, and then I can start with the presentation. Yeah, it's all. Yeah, we can see the slides. Awesome. Good. So we start with an introduction a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm still learning this. This is the second try. For some reason the first one worked. The second is a little bit of a bummer, but who cares? If you really meant to listen to this message, you would have stayed on and waited and showed one of the key characteristics of mankind, which is patience. I mean, boy, do we need a lot of that, don't we? I mean, When's it gonna happen? When is it gonna kick off finally? And the Gnostic Takeover has got the message for the millennia. I'm not kidding. I'm not full of myself. I know that wisdom is knowing how little we know. I always learn every day, but I'm telling you, I'm spearheading this information of the Gnostic Takeover. The reason being that since the ceremony that I did with Errol on the 12th, 13th of February, that was ayahuasca and datura, it's like Obelix who fell into the pot of magic, of a magic drink. And I'm basically pioneering also how to work with the sacred plant medicine of datura. And there's just so much information coming through me that I could be going on for hours, but I'm having to limit it. But just keep tuned here to the information that will always be for free. I will always be here for you, because there's no being throughout the multiverses that can stop the Gnostic Takeover from doing what it's doing. No one can stop me. I know how this reality works. All the fabric of reality is programmed according to morality, and I am pioneering also the information that what we actually experience outside of us is actually what Carl Jung termed the reality of the psyche. This is what I got from the great book Dispelling Wetiko, Paul Levy. I keep recommending it because this has really shown light on many things, and together with plant medicine I'm trailblazing this information. This is where we take our planet back, where we draw the line to these Satanists and tell them, you fucking have to learn. I learn, and those guys have to fucking learn if they want to stay on this planet, because I'm going to be talking about the King-Archetype also, that is activated right now. And the King is all about setting the law. The King throughout the cultures have been tasked and symbolized as the law-giving function from its energetic state. The King, or for the wonderful ladies listening in on here, the Queen. It's not that, oh, now I'm a king and I'm a queen. It's not what this is about. Those are archetypes, energetic patterns of how consciousness is organized. And the reason why the world is so fucked up to this point, it's rapidly changing now, is because the King archetype has been suppressed by humanity. And that's why I'm pioneering this information. Alright? I am king because I'm learning and asking questions. Language, huh? Who'd have thought it in a vibrational universe that our language is actually showing what it is? And there's a reason why the Jesuits and the dark occult priest class that they serve have demonized the figure of the king throughout history. There is a reason for that, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the tyrants that we've got going in this liberal democracy run from the background by high priests of Satanism, black magicians that I have encountered. Alright, I have checkmated them because I have more access to information than they have. They have only the priest class, the dark occult priest class, has only been in power. They were not in power, they were in abuse of power by running a control system. That's the only thing they can do through the ideology of Satanism, the old religion. That is basically social Darwinism, one of the tenets of Satanism. And they could only run things through a mafia structure, a electrically pyramidical structure of subordination, because the king archetype has not been activated yet. The queen archetype has not been activated yet. I'm talking about the sacred masculine principle and expression coupled together and in balance, in equilibrium with the divine feminine principle and expression. All of the world problems can be reduced to the problem of male and female, the problem of man and woman. It's up to us to entangle ourselves from the war that we're engaged in, because that's what these Satanists have done. They've turned everyone against each other. All they care about is their family. They don't give a fuck about anyone else's family. Which is why I went up against them, challenged them, and checkmated them. Because everyone can do it when you have enough strong willpower. And they can't touch me, because I've got as backing the entire force of the one and only highest source, the entire force of all of nature, the entire force of the source, the force of Star Wars is behind me. You think a black magician is someone that can harm me? Poof, he burns if he tries. That's why they can't touch me. That's why they thought they're all exclusive to the information they have access to, because they know how to hack realities. That's what the Gnostics in the Nag Hammadi scriptures also talked about, about Hal, the Archon's capacity for Hal, which is they can induce a virtual reality experience. So the high priests that were, for example, one Francis Vogel in Saint Corona, he lives there. That's why he calls up Liz, because he's still in his dementia, thinks he can insert a hack. But you see, Liz doesn't pick up, you jackass. So you better learn. You learn, because you're not going to be able to live on this planet anymore. All right. This is where we get into the slides, because you see, it's like a tsunami that's being unleashed as soon as I go live, and it's like the plant medicine. Oh, tell him this, tell him that, tell him this, tell him that. Hey, gotta order it. There's so much coming through, which is just stay tuned. Support our work financially also when you can with a free will support gift. The link is underneath in the description below, and it will be greatly appreciated because it's in great hands. This material will always stay free because I don't charge, because someone who is the charge does not charge. Otherwise I'd be nothing better than the vampires. This is how I show that I'm for real. I will always be here because I have a mission, and I won't stop until this mission has been completed. This is the slide that that I showed at the beginning of my ramble I did just there. And this is from, for anyone who can recognize it, from the series called Breaking Bad. If you are truly into Gnosticism, and Gnosticism also has contained one of its foundational principles is what Sun Tzu described in The Art of War: know thyself and know thy enemy. And knowing thy enemy is knowing about the mafia structure, how it operates, how the whole structure is run through abuse of power and on the basis of violence. It's a violence-based worldview, which is why the police are not serving humanity and mankind as public servants, because they're serving the dark occult priest class without the police even knowing it. This is why they are so afraid of what I do. However, they can't stop it. They can only mess with it a little bit. They can't stop it because the information that I share will give the orders, the moral orders and the moral commands to the police force, to the military force, to take out the dark occult. And there's absolutely nothing that they can do about it. I can portray and say all the things that I have planned, and what they're most afraid of is me sharing all of this. This is why the dark occult priest class, even the high priest of Satanism and the highest echelons of Satanism that I have encountered, are afraid of the police, because at any moment when the King-Archetype is activated, the police can turn against them and be for the people. And I'm going to make a prediction here once again. I come forward. I'm happy to be proven wrong. However, I'll be called so-called someone with foresight, a visionary. That Austria is a very hierarchically based society, like all of the world, but especially Austria. They just listen to what the higher echelons have to say, and they obey like no other country that I know. Germany is also very much culpable of that. However, that also has a flip side to it, because they are so tuned to obeying authority that this, when it is transformed, and any moment could be the moment of the metanuclear psyche that I talk about, the effect of the metanuclear effect of the psyche that we have, where the police, where the hierarchical based structure turns against the dark occultist. And this is what they're most afraid of, and this is what I'm going to do to them. There's nothing that can stop it, because they don't have access to me, because I'm backed by the entire force of the one and only highest source, in the name of the one and only truth that I am. And coming back to the series of Breaking Bad, if you have not watched it, there's no higher recommendation I can make to you. If you want to know the enemy, how it ticks, the psychology, how the structure is organized of the mafia, go and watch Breaking Bad, because Walter White, as the character in Breaking Bad, portrays exactly the King-Archetype, however, in the form of being the bad guy, in him quote unquote breaking bad at an old age of 50. Okay, what is age? It's nothing. It's not old, it's not young, it's whatever you make of it. Okay, it's all just life. Time is an illusion. However, just to give a little bit of a background to people who don't know the series, it's really important to me because I learned so much. Vince Gilligan, the guy who directed it, is a genius, absolute genius, and I'm going to say it there. Walter White is a very high advanced with access to high knowledge in the field of chemistry, and he's a high school teacher. His life has not turned out the way he wanted to. The people he studied with, who even with his knowledge skills, he's even more advanced than they are. However, he together with them founded a company called Grey Matter that became worth billions, and he only took a pay cut of $5,000 at the time, $5,000, and he's a poor man. He's 50 and he gets lung cancer, just to keep the show restored, just to whet your appetite for it. And then he starts thinking about what happens to his family when he's dead. So he wants to secure his family financially, and he starts with the skills that he has in chemistry. He starts cooking and selling methamphetamine. And this series is amazing, and there's one part of it, there's a scene where this is portrayed here, where where Jesse, his partner, asks him, "Why are you doing all this? Why are you suddenly breaking bad with 50?" And all that Walter says is, "You see, I am awake." And this is the point. There's a difference between knowing about the game of life, alright, and this is why you're tuning in here. Ultimately, you're tuning in here because of the game of life, the beautiful dance that life is, the game that life is. It's a game, yeah, but it's a highly sophisticated game, and it is the most funniest thing, the saddest thing, the most angriest thing, the everything just pisses me off thing that you'll ever encounter, it because it's everything. It's your life. It's all about your life. It's all about my life. It's all about our life. This is the true simplicity of it. And there's two paths you can take. You make the choice of ignorance, you stay ignorant, and many people think, oh, it's probably better, life is better for the people who are ignorant, when it's not. And when you're in an ignorant state, even when you're in the process of awakening, you need to make an honest answer to the question if you're being played by life, or are you playing the game of life? Are you a player? Which is, I am awake. Exactly. Because when you are playing the game of life, you cannot be played. This is also the reason why the dark occult priest class can't do anything about the Gnostic Takeover, because when I am slaying them, they can't slay me. When I'm playing the game of life, I can't be played. Which is why the one thing that they have hidden from humanity are the rules of the game. That's what they've hidden from us. So we can't play the game and get played by them. Well, that time now is over. It is so because I say so. I'm a general of the plant kingdom. This is the ultimate truth. I do not consent to any level of the reality hack that has been portrayed throughout the crisis since 2020, and there was a build up to that. I do not consent to any reality impositions in the form of reality hacks, which is Hal, which the Gnostics talked about, which the high priests of Satanism get a boner on and think they're so great because they can manipulate people by imposing reality hacks on them without them knowing. But they lose all power when you have access to this knowledge and when you're not getting hacked anymore. And you see through all of them. And ever since, and I have got, you see, the plant kingdom is giving me so much information, I have to order what is the most important to share with my humanity, with my human family. And I have a moral obligation to share with you about the workings, what has happened with Errol Kaya, a fellow founder of the Gnostic Takeover, who he is, what happened, which is the reason why I shared the video the other day of Wetiko Abusers in Action, that Zoom call. And that's where you see it's important to, because it's very confusing. I understand this, that it's confusing for the community what is really happening there. However, you really need to understand that when you are awake, and I am awake, always waking up more, it's like You don't just open your eyes because it's like the light is too blinding. It would destroy your eyes if you were to just open them fully because of the shining light of life. So you only open them up a little bit. So every day you open up a little bit more of the spectrum of your eyes to see what is actually going on. And when you are making a true difference in life, when you're truly making a difference in your life, you will encounter the dark occult because they'll be vibrationally, magnetically attracted by you because of the principle of magnetism. And when I have an intention to take the planet back, I will encounter that which has been running a control system on this planet, which is why I ended up in Saint Corona. And I told Franzi Vogel, I asked him, are you the high priest of Satanism? And he was like, oh, fuck off, Steve. Oh, you're talking shit, you know. And then you have to leave this house. And I'm like, oh, I mean, sorry. I just asked a question, and 1 minute later you want me to leave the house. Did I touch a nerve? They don't want to be found out because they lose all power when you know who they are and when you know the workings of the dark occult priest class, which is the fabrication of reality hacks and putting people into reality prisons. This is what they do. And they lose all power when you reveal them, which is the reason why Ariel Kaya is not responding, and I have given him till today, 11 o'clock. This is in 4 hours. He's still got 4 hours time to respond to the claims that I am making. Does not respond. His mother blocked me after I tried nothing more than freeing Errol when he was arrested, and she just blocked me. You see, these people only care about their families, and when they get busted, when their whole fabricated reality, their persona, their facade gets busted, they run the fuck away because they are cowards. But there's nowhere to run for them. They're panicking right now because they can't do anything to me, because it is so that they are finding out that the will of all of creation is not their will. That what they call the demiurge and a virus, they want to call me a demiurge, like the high priest of Satanism, Franzi Vogel, told Errol, with Steve, you let the devil into the house. He's the devil. Yeah, because they are complete inversion. They think that they are the light. So when you see Errol on Age of Truth TV, when he did his interview, and he talked about that the darkness is now coming to the light, he actually believes in his dementia, in his wrong thinking, in his mindset. He actually really, truly believes that he represents the light and that I represent the dark. Because Satanists are a complete inversion. That's why they invert everything. They actually believe that they're doing the right thing with imposing genocide on people here on earth. They think it's the right thing. Which is why it's our responsibility to wake up to the King-Archetype that tells them, you leave. Because we're not doing genocide here. It's the responsibility is up to us, and this is direct teaching of the plant kingdom. Deep knowledge, look at everything in a whole different perspective, which is that the Satanists are the enemy. However, that doesn't mean that I am a victim of their mind control. No, far from it. I'm a sovereign being, and I learnt the trade of how to be a king because of my encounters with high priests of the order of Satanism. So this is really shaping up to a big one here right now. We're already on half an hour, and I'm on the third slide, but all good. Everything is how it is and is meant to be. Gnosticism. is all about heart anchor intelligence. It's not an ism to make you believe that it's some other ideology. Has nothing to do with it, because Gnosticism comes from the root of gnosis, which is knowledge, which is information, and the entire fabric of reality and all of creation is based at the foundation level on information. Which is why the dark occult priest class have run a control system, having suppressed the workings of the heart and what real heart anchor intelligence is. And they've run the control system because they have been hiding the information that I share with you is the single most important information that they don't want anyone to know about. And that's the true gnosis of what heart anchor intelligence truly means, because it takes down the entire control system. So many talk about the heart and they say, oh, the solution to the world problems is we need to be more in our hearts, and they are correct. However, they say but they do not do. As the saying goes, there is a huge difference between knowing the path and walking the path. And Gnosticism is all about walking, because true knowledge is not gained by alternative media and by books, it's gained by personal experience. Heart anchor intelligence is another expression of the workings of the magnetic pyramid. So the entire artificial matrix control structure, what I like to call the artificial Wetiko matrix, is a copy of the natural order, and it only runs on the electric component of creation. It totally is absent of the magnetic component of creation, which is the magnetic pyramid that checkmates them, which is heart anchor intelligence. This is what takes them down completely, which is why they are so afraid of, which is why they destroyed the workings of Nikola Tesla. Not only because it would have freed the world of the scarcity-based model that the world is still trapped in, that energy is finite. We can see that right now with Europe and the war that Russia and the Ukraine is engaged, which is again manipulated by the high priests of Satanism. And people like Putin don't even know the level of information I have access to, because guess what? I'm a general of the plant kingdom. You think Putin is tuned in to ayahuasca and datura information fields that are the forces of ultimate power? I don't think so. Which is the reason why he's going to meet me, because the Gnostic Takeover is being unleashed right now. There's a massive thing that's going to drop, and I will go all the way, because I know there's no one that can stop me, because I say so, because I say so is an expression of the magnetic principle and the principle of the one. Don't you think that makes me a very, very dangerous individual? Makes me a very dangerous individual? Yeah, because I am awake. Saying at the same time that I keep awaking every single moment of my life. Oh, and let's talk about, and this is why I had to put this in. It didn't make it on the last presentation that I did. The alternative media, which is, okay, because I'm not even going to bother with talking about the mainstream media. Everyone knows the artificial matrix and the manipulation of the mainstream media. But how is it that hardly a soul is talking about the entrapment in the matrix of, and I'm talking about 99% of the alternative media, 99% that call me, Stephen Weyerbrau, founder of the Gnostic Takeover, someone with a quote-unquote superiority complex and a narcissist. Why? Because I'm awake. You see, they themselves are trapped in a paradigm. They say they want change, but do they really? People like Josh Del Sol, I really have to question if he is part of the network of the artificial Wetiko matrix, working directly, knowingly for them, for the dark occult priest class. When he he learns about the law for mankind, does the course, which is all about, and Josh Del Sol organizes, for everyone who doesn't know it, he organizes events like seminars, and I was live on him with the event, with speakers and all that. He does the law for mankind, which is all about honor and the removal of controversy and being a man. And then, because I made one comment on the Gnostic Takeover where I said that it wasn't right that he didn't let us speak in the beginning of the interview, and he was constantly butting in, and that wasn't right, and I just, oh my god, I had a different opinion, shared that on the Gnostic Takeover community. That was the reason why the entire contact with him has now, we've not had any contact since, because he thinks I'm in a superiority complex and I have too much self-importance. I talked about this already in the last presentation. Go and watch, and where I talk about that. Too much self-importance when there's a freaking genocide going on this planet, and people in the alternative media are too obsessed with competition, which is the Archon mindset, directly from the Archons, directly programmed by the High Priest of Satanism, who they don't even know, who they've never encountered, but they call me someone with a superiority complex who took the High Priests down, because the King takes them down. The truth takes down the lie, which they represent. And the alternative media, it's throughout the ages, it's been throughout all of time and all of creation, is Plato's cave. Because many people don't know that mind control is all about information control at the foundation. And it's all about, and note that down, mind control is information management. And it just so happens that Sacha Stone, for example, guess what he studied at university? Sacha Stone from the alternative media, the rock guy, jackass, black magician. He studied information management. It's Plato's cave, being distracted by shadow projections on the wall and not talking about the real issues of freedom, which I freaking talk about. And what the alternative media does without you realizing is it's caving in on your perceptions. That's what it's doing. And I'm going to leave you with that picture because there's so much to it. Just take some time, because I have to get some water. Alright? Just take your time and immerse yourself in everything that you have studied. The alternative media, this is a great opportunity to do this. They hate me for doing this, for exposing that. And just contemplate how long and how deep are you still checking the news and see what's going on in the world, what's happening, what's new. How much do you still do that? To what degree, and that's the key point, to what degree does it control your perception of reality. Because let me tell you, I don't watch any of the news anymore. And that's the reason why I'm more informed than anyone I know, because I am the news. This is the intelligence of the plant kingdom that I'm a general of. Just contemplate this for a fact. Just contemplate and see how it adds up. I'm going to get some water. I'm also making myself another coffee and I have to go to the toilet, so just stay tuned 1 minute. Right, here we are again. Sorry for this delay, but I'm just also making myself a coffee too, because it's very early in the morning here, still in Austria. And yeah, have you been contemplating on this? Because I'm the first one to admit that I was trapped in what I like to call the artificial news matrix. And it's not just about destroying your TV and getting rid of your TV. Get rid of the alternative media bubble that they've put you in. I have the obligation to inform people about the trap of these people. Right? you you won't find there's probably even more there's probably even more people that studied a lot about David Icke. However, I looked very, very deep into David Icke's work. I read definitely 10 books of his, many of them at least twice. Most of them, absolutely the overwhelming majority of it. And his work has helped me a great deal. He's uncovered a lot of information. So I'm not saying what I say from a disrespectful level, which maybe in the past I did because I was very angry about David Icke. I see things from a more balanced perspective now. However, it does not take away from the fact that people like Max Egan, David Icke, Sasha Stone, Dr. Rainer Fulmich, Bernard Günther, The Veil of Reality, Mark Passio are absolutely, I'm absolutely 100% sure, are knowing agents of the system. They do know that they serve the pedo-satanic criminal network, the field of Wetiko. However, they probably don't know to what level, because information is highly compartmentalized among the control structure of Earth. And let me tell you, the control structure expands massively into the alternative media. That's where the control structure is really at the heart of it, because the name of the game that is happening with the artificial Wetiko matrix is not only the harvesting of consciousness, the entrapment of the soul in the body, what the Gnostics talked about a lot, which then foolishly is being talked about, that the Gnostics thought that Earth was a prison planet and that we're imprisoned by the flesh. This is bullshit. A Gnostic would never subscribe to that. A Gnostic would say, well, you're full of shit, because that's not what I said. There's more depth to it. A Gnostic knows about the laws of nature and how the universe works, from the microcosmic level to the macrocosmic level, because it looks at foundational knowledge. It looks at how the patterns of consciousness are created through the archetypal, energetic, vibrational, frequency-based reality. That's how a Gnostic looks at things. And what needs to be said is that the overwhelming majority of people are still trapped in the news matrix. So I'm just going to get my coffee and continue speaking. Hang on. Right back. Good old coffee for the morning. It's a wonderful day. It's raining today, which makes it wonderful, which makes it a good day to do the work. Writing a notice to get Leonie out, which they've tried to manipulate me not getting done. Well, it is getting done. I know the high priests are probably listening to this. So yeah, you failed once again. So it's time for you to learn. Huh? Good on the game, the man that you so despise. Well, I'm just look at my chavvy. Look at my face. I'm not your enemy. I am an embodiment of that which is the will of the source. Do you really think that only your greatness is everything that life has always been about? Have you ever seen a child play? Do you think that child doesn't deserve freedom? It does. And there's people who care so much that they take you down. And that's me. I took a big gulp, a double portion in one ceremony of ayahuasca and datura, because that's how much I wanted it. I regretted it after 1.5 hours, but I went through with it, didn't I, Errol? Yeah. And now everyone gets to learn. Also you, dark occult priests, because this is about the synthesis of opposites, the light and the dark meeting. We all have to learn, and it's up to you if you want to join the path of evolution or destroy yourself. I don't even know if there's someone in you because of the level of machine consciousness integration. So I'm not your enemy. We all go with the truth now. That's what creation's based on. So the recycling of consciousness is the name of the game here on Earth, and that's why there's no more control than in the alternative media arena, which no one would think it would. But this is the magic trick throughout the ages, alright? It's always there where you don't think it is. So many people think that this is a direct representation of life on Earth. Oh, you see, that's where the sheepies are. You see, that's what the sheeps do. Look, they go to school, they go to work, and they only care about their family, and then they go and then they go and die. They take their pension. That's what the sheep does. That's what the sheeps do. The sheepish people. Little do they know that, as Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, the very famous German writer, said, none are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. It's caving in on your perception in the form of the merry-go-round of the artificial matrix. We only become free when we realize the degree to which we are unfree. Which is why I say I'm awake, but at the same time I'm waking up each and every day more. That's how the field of consciousness works. We're here because life is meant to be an experience. We're meant to grow and learn. That's why the dark occult can't get to me, because I grow and I learn from them. I do not hate on them. I actually thank Errol Kaya and Amit Hashimi for the experience that I went through, which at the same time doesn't mean that I don't see their disgusting behavior and their filth, the way they behave. I do see that too. So, as I said, the recycling of consciousness in the alternative media is a massive part of it, because of one key principle: manipulation. And this is what most people forget about manipulation. Manipulation, it only works when you don't know you are being manipulated. Because many people would say, oh no, oh, I can't be manipulated. I can't be manipulated from anyone. It doesn't happen to me, this won't happen to me. And yeah, they're probably the ones who live in a complete life of manipulation, is the people that say that. Oh, I can't be manipulated. Manipulation, it just only always, it's the basis. You see, people have forgotten about the basis of information. You see, they're all entangled in the alternative media that's keeping them busy, keeps the mind busy, alright, and is actually the blockage to heart anchor intelligence. Blockage to your heart anchor intelligence is in all high probability the alternative media. Alright? It is actually. Okay, let's just say it, make a definite absolute statement. The one thing that blocks people from living from heart anchor intelligence is the alternative media. How do you like that? Now get as offended as you like about that fact. It doesn't change the truth that it is a fact. And you're being manipulated by people who themselves have been manipulated to see only the overarching power of the dark side of the force. Oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. UN Agenda 2030, I told you. And then David Icke, last year in November, in December, he did his interview on London Real called The Vindication. I mean, what the actual fuck, David? Vindicated for what? You see, but there he shares what he was there for. When we go deep into the rabbit hole of the merry-go-round of the matrix, the artificial news matrix, when we go deep into it, David Icke was there to program people that were on the path to awakening, program them to manifest the agenda that he was exposing. Oh, what a whole different perception suddenly comes in when you hear that. And it's a grand statement. However, I'm absolutely sure that this is the truth about David Icke. He was there because the awakening is part of what the planet's doing. And the planet has been in transition since, I would pick it up in the 1990s. Okay, it's probably always been this way. There's always been geniuses who gained access to the information about the artificial matrix and how to transcend it. However, David Icke, for example, was specifically, I would say, put there to program people like me, or people like you, that are awakening, for them to manifest the agenda of the dark occult. And then he says, "Oh, you see, I already said this in 1995." Yeah, as you rightly say, David. Dr. Richard Day said it in 1969. George Orwell said it in 1984 in his book published in 1948. And his French teacher, Aldous Huxley, said it in Brave New World, 1932. Because it's an agenda, isn't it, David? Orchestrated from another dimension. However, you don't talk with the Gnostic Takeover. You don't talk to me. I was on Gareth Icke's show right now. Never wanted to come back to me. How is that? Because they're serving the dark occult. Directly, knowingly. Alright, it's not unconsciously. No, they ignore information about the takeover because it's the single one information that they have to keep from the people, have to keep away from the public, which is the reason I never get interviewed anywhere anymore. I get interviewed once and that's it. Right, don't matter because the information makes the light of the day anyway, and I'm not a victim of that. I do what I do no matter what. I do what I want, which is the reason why I have to live with the fact that people don't like me. Well, I don't give a fuck if people like me. All I care about is that our children have a future worth living and that we live life as responsible members of the family of mankind. Responsibility. And the single one information that the manipulation targets is to never ever talk about the archetype of the king and the takeover. So people in a state of ignorance, they think that they live in a normal world, okay, what they call normal. Oh yeah, you go to work on a Monday and you pay your taxes, and there's other people. They call them influencers or YouTubers, and they have a cool life. My life is not so cool. Somehow life doesn't work for me, and yeah, that's just how it is. That's how it's always been, and it will always be so. Blah blah blah. Directly programmed Wetiko mindset running through all these people that you see here. And the field of Wetiko is being spun, alright, like a spider spins his web. It's an information field, a source of information that I call the artificial Wetiko matrix, that is being put into these minds of these people through the technology of microwave radiation, okay, the field, and that's what 5G is really here for. It's to mind control people into that thinking, oh yeah, gotta wear masks now, it's the new normal. And there's very few people like me who drop their studies. Yeah, you can say that I'm a YouTuber. I wouldn't say that. You can say, yeah, he's got a YouTube channel and he's an influencer. Yeah, I do influence things. It's called magic. Magic is the influence on your reality. That's what I do, but I'm not an influencer. Okay? I teach. And I use the internet to teach. And I'm about to embark also on a tour through Austria, because I have directly from the plant kingdom, I have the blueprint for the takeover, which I can't get into today because there's only so many hours of the day. However, coming back to the point, we live in two worlds. One world that most of the masses believe in, then you start to slowly awaken and you wake up to the fact that you've got mega corporations, alright, huge conglomerates like Nestle or Monsanto or Google or Facebook that are owned ultimately, can be reduced. I recommend the documentary Monopoly here at this point. Can be reduced to BlackRock and Vanguard as the overarching corporations on the corporation level of this control structure. And these people here would have never ever contemplated that thought. They're just like, yeah, we go to McDonald's and it's fine. Yeah, I know it's not healthy, but I like it. Yeah, you're fucking addicted to it, mate. It's like fucking heroin. Huh? So, we live in two worlds, and you begin to wake up to the control of corporations of this world. But keep going, alright? Then you hit the banking system and the control of currency. Currency is electricity. Oh, here we go again. Do you like it? Oh yeah, it's just the electrical pyramid, isn't it? High priests of Satanism. It's just the electric, isn't it? It's true, isn't it? That's why every single company, the basic foundational structure is of a pyramidical structure. Am I right with that, high priests of Satanism? Is that designed? Is that design informed by you spinning the web like the copy of a spider and manipulating all these people out there to think like that, to think like you, basically? Well, what happens when someone thinks differently with the magnetic component? You don't like it, do you? Well, yeah, and then I think you're waking up to a new world then, aren't you? Well, I like change. How about you? Well, if you don't like change, that is your problem. So, go up higher from the control of currency in the form of money, which the whole economic system is based on. Money backed by your life force. Ultimately, that's why they show you the battery in the Matrix movie. However, there's a hidden world. of Satanism. And they're a death cult, right? They are a death cult. Which is why they create death in the world. And all forms of death, like torture, psychological warfare. I've just explained the crisis since 2020 of the Covidian cult. Psychological warfare, directly from the Manual of Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. They produce death, which is why they have to be slayed and eliminated. Unless they have the capacity to learn, which I very much doubt. But I'm always open for things to change. However, if they don't wake up to the fact that there's a new boss in town, which is called the Awakening, which runs through me because I'm informed by the force that really takes them down. The plant kingdom only needed a general. All it takes is one, alright? Right back to the principle of the magnetic pyramid, the principle of the one. All the plant kingdom needed is someone to speak the truth. And you can only do that when you do shadow integration work. Work on yourself. Not be full of yourself. Oh, I know everything, I'm the best. Well, I am the best at what I do, but at the same time, I always learn. How about that? I have to learn because I don't want psychopaths running my life. That's how I came to be a king. Anchored in the king archetypal energy, and you're educated to become a king by the death cult. Satanists are peculiar people. This is the world of the unseen. And Errol Kaya dropped, before he left the Gnostic Takeover, he dropped one of the single most important information bits when he informed us that there's Satanists everywhere. It's in your street that you live. Alright, I'm gonna confront the people that live in my street, where I found out that they're probably a satanic family. It's not just one. I'm gonna directly confront them and tell them, because they show up at my door. Like, I buy my stuff in, alright? I've got food at home, but suddenly they show up in front of my door and they want to, because they're so kind, they want to give me free bread, that because they this and that, and I'm just standing there and I'm like, no, Francie, your Wetico field can't be spun with me, right? Through your agents, through, these are just normal people, aren't they? It's just normal people, yeah? No, well, not when you know about the world of the occult. Nothing happens for an accident, nothing happens for no reason. So I took the bread yesterday, it happened yesterday, from a neighbor living right next to us. I took the bread, and then I gave it back to them again, and I said, I don't need this. I have no need for it. I don't need it. You know what happens? A few hours later, they show the freaking hell up at the door again and ask for something that they need right now, which my sister gave to them. Alright, it has no energetic significance and impact because I decoded it. But this is the reason why I'm going to go to their place and say, what the actual fuck? I know what the game is. Alright, your brother is a council politician. Alright, and you're done. Tell your master, tell your bosses, you're done. I tell all of them, you're done. There's a new boss in town, it's called the Awakening. It's called the King. And I'm tasked with telling my community to set up their own channels because we're taking the planet back. It's only working through us. Forget about the Reiner Fuel mix and the legal challenges. We have to do this. Humanity. This is the message from the plant kingdom. And as I said in the last video, you wouldn't spot a Satanist directly. They're peculiar people and they're not easily to be spotted. They can cloak themselves. And I've never seen better cloaking from someone like Errol Kaya. Unbelievably powerful how he could disguise his true face. Satanists, and this is why the basis of mind control is information management and the control of information, the flow of information, which is why the Gnostic Takeover never gets interviewed by anyone. Again, I'm no victim of it, I'm just stating a fact. They know, the ones who run the control system know that a knowledge differential equals a power differential. Which is why they don't want anyone taking plant medicine, alright? Like ayahuasca and datura, because they just drop you the information of the entire pyramid. Which is just unbelievable. The intelligence of the plant kingdom is something like, it's symbolized by the Asterix and Obelix movies, where Obelix fell into a pot of a magic drink. That's ayahuasca for you. That's why, and Errol also exposed this without saying that he's also involved in that. That's why the retreat centers are controlled by black magicians, because the plant medicine is too dangerous for them, for anyone to have access to it. And with the last ceremony that I did with Errol, we together, alright, it's not only me, we together, because we drank together, me and Errol, we freed the plant medicine of the field of Wetiko, which is why exactly at the same time when we freed the plant medicine, we're talking about the 12th, 13th of February, was exactly the time where the war in the Ukraine started kicking off. It was in the phase where it already it had already kicked off, or it was in the process of developing to a conflict that erupted again. So yeah, it has nothing to do with the ceremony that me and Errol did. No. Well, you better know about the mystery of Errol Kaya. And it's still a mystery, and I do not hate Errol Kaya. In actual fact, there's no one I've learned more from who has an incarnation here on Earth than Errol Kaya. Learned a lot from Errol, which is why I respect Errol. But that doesn't mean that I agree with him. I don't agree with him at all anymore, because of the manipulation he put me under, which was my training to become a king. And now, if Errol listens to this, I would strongly suggest, Errol, that you learn, if you want to move forward in your soul evolution, when there is a soul, okay, which I would say for the time being he has a soul, alright. You now have to learn from the King-Archetype that's coming through me, mate. And that's not, I'm the king, you have to learn from me. No, it's an energy again. Everything's based on energy, frequency, and vibration. And the way you treated me, Errol, was despicable. And I know all about it, which is why I released all of that information, because many other members of the human family have been treated like this by the psychopathic class. Alright? The death cult that you serve, Errol. Many people have been treated like that. From the narcissists that you yourself are still an embodiment of. It's an illness, a mental illness, Errol, and I don't suffer from it. Otherwise I would have been incorporated into your death cult, wouldn't I? But I went against you. I went against Ahmed, I went against the entirety of that network that you gained access to here in Austria, that tried to assimilate me into the order of Satanism. It didn't work, Errol, did it? And now I'm in a position where I can expose all of this. I have to expose all of this, because I have to tell all those people that do not be afraid of high priests of Satanism. It would be like, ooh, yeah, ooh. No, they're nothing. Your very protection is you sharing this information and being in a energetic resonance where no one can interfere with your development, because Errol, we're not here to serve you. We are here to serve all of creation, and you yourself, you were just in a bubble thinking that creation orders itself around the will of the involutionary force. Okay, where it's all about ruling over the other, and I'm the king. And as you said, true power is to know that you're in command, no matter who says what. Well, that also applies to a tyrant who's lost touch with reality, Errol. And that is a mental illness that I would suggest you heal. Because otherwise you keep banging your head against the wall. And I'm happy, I'm there for you anytime to have an ayahuasca ceremony, ayahuasca datura, to make us see the truth of that. Okay, that offer still stands. So I'm not making enemies. I don't hate you, Errol. I don't hate Ahmed. I don't hate anyone. In actual fact, I'm grateful for the learning lesson that you served. And at the same time, I can tell all of you that your behavior shows that you are complete jackasses, megalomaniacs and psychopaths. Alright, and this has no place on earth anymore. However, I am grateful for the learning lesson, but don't take anything away from the sickness that you've put on the earth and that you want to perpetuate on the earth. I'm here to tell you it's over. And that's the video that I really also recommend everyone watching. This is where you can see how the cult works. We've got 3 people ganging up on one, in this case me. 3 people trying to tell me how I've got a problem, how I suffer from self-diagnosed fucking Ahmed Hashimi. The workings of the cult, you see, they don't even have the legitimacy to tell you, to freaking diagnose you psychologically, but they do it anyway. Which is why evil is the transgression of boundaries. That's the perfect definition of evil, is the transgression of boundaries. And you all 3 transgressed the boundary that I set at the very beginning of that call. I said the natural order should govern this talk. Natural order is the principle which is governed. And you, Errol, said, well, so it will be. Well, then you have not understood what natural order stands for. And you have to learn, not me, Errol, because I'm already in a state of learning. If I weren't, I'd be dead by now. For example, the last half year I stopped drinking alcohol, I stopped eating meat, I stopped smoking, I stopped all of that addictive behavior, which made all my shadow aspects come up, and I've successfully integrated most, if not all of them. I don't know. Comes naturally, doesn't it? When you drink ayahuasca. I don't know why you drink ayahuasca for, Errol. Doesn't she show you your shadows, or have you manipulated that process with the medicine? Well, that medicine has been freed now, so I recommend you don't drink it, because she'd properly slay you. Alright? Because I direct the medicine now, because it goes by intention, and it goes by the principle of the higher causes supersede and eliminate the lower causes. And Errol, I am the higher cause while you are the lower cause, because I'm moral and you are immoral, and it's your choice if you want to learn from me. Because ignorance and megalomaniacal behavior and power trips is not allowed on earth anymore, because because of all the suffering and because of all the torture that happens because of it. It's not allowed on earth anymore. Here is the point where it stops, because I say so. I am king. With that Zoom call, I stood up to them and I told them, no way, no way, I don't. You see, this is a perfect portrayal when your will is stronger than the will of the environment. And my will there was stronger than the will of the environment. I don't care if it's a cult of 200,000 people who think I'm a maniac, or I'm a narcissist, or I'm on a power trip, or this and that. I don't care. I only serve the truth, and the truth is the rarest thing in the world. That's why it is so fucked up. That's why we need to find out the truth, what it is, which is why I've been immersed in the study of natural law principles for 13 years and everything that comes with it. Holistic intelligence, holistic knowledge, where you combine the field of mathematics, the sciences, you combine all the sciences. That's what that's what the true great work is all about, isn't it? The true esoteric knowledge is holistic knowledge that leads to holistic intelligence, and you combine all the sciences of mathematics, of physics, of chemistry, alchemy, psychology, history, all of it can all be done. It's called being a genius, and it's natural intelligence, which is speaking to you right now. So the hidden war was shown on full display, and a perfect portrayal of it, not betrayal, portrayal of the hidden war was in that Zoom call. And it's psychological warfare tactics. It's one of the first principle, the first tenet of Satanism that I shared in the last video, which is self-preservation is the highest aim. That's why they only care about themselves and their family, don't give a fuck about other families. That's why your mum, Errol, blocked me, because she only cares about her family, just like you do. However, we've got a whole human family here who has the first say in all of this on earth, not you, Errol. Not anymore anyway. And I'm gonna tell everyone, I'm not gonna stop talking. This is just the beginning. And the first tenet of Satanism is self-preservation is the highest goal and the highest aim. And that also goes hand in hand with groupthink and the preservation of the order, or the ideology of the group. Well, what was the ideology of the call with the cult? Steve, don't believe in what... Don't go with your own estimate of the situation. We're telling you how it is. No, you don't fucking tell me how it fucking is. Because you and your perception does not equal reality. Errol, it does not equal truth. Your perception is your observation of what the truth is, that you and no being throughout the multiverse has any authority to change. They can't change the truth. They could only change the truth if they were above the natural order that created it all, the one and only highest source that created it all. And no one can be above that, can they? Unless you have a problem in thinking capacities, which is what Satanism is all based on. It's based on dementia that they all suffer from. They think they can be God and be above the natural order. Well, I'm here. My very reason for existence is to tell you you're not fucking above the natural order. And I have every reason to speak this way. If this offends you and there's too much swearing in my language, well, that is because you live in a house. You've got money to spend, everything still runs for you, and you don't see the freaking train coming at you that I'm talking about, which I'm stopping through the energy of the King-Archetype, that who swears whenever they want, whenever feels appropriate, because I do what I want. called freedom. I am awake. I do what I want. No one tells me what to do and how to do it. If someone has a recommendation or they have something to share with me, like the wonderful Aaron in our community sent me a voice message where he said, basically, Steve, I don't want to tell you what to do, but I think this is really important. You should look at this. And I said, great, fantastic points. All right. It's called learning. Very, very important. And to transcend the psychological warfare, and the way you deal with the cult is tell them what the truth is. Okay? I told them, you don't influence the truth. And I went with the way I saw the situation, not with how they saw. They could have been 8 billion people telling me otherwise, that I'm full of shit, I'm a narcissist, and I would know that I am living from the heart. And I would always go with my own perception of the truth and not with anyone else's. Which is why I'm a big problem for them. But only if they don't want to learn. They're being forced to learn now. Which is great. And you see, the difference between me and them is I learn from the enemy. Yeah, I'm a warrior, and I'm a wise warrior. I do the art of war. Sun Tzu. Every battle is won before it is ever fought. That's why I don't have to fight. Because every battle is won before it is ever fought. That's why I set the law. That's why I write notices to the man who at times acts as judge. Tell him what the law is, how I see it. And if he doesn't see it with the lens of the truth, then he's probably liable to the extent of what I say so. Setting the law. That's why the law is so important. I'll be getting to that at the end. That's the key difference between a light occultist and a dark occultist. The dark occultist, I mean, let's see if they can. But from everything that I've learnt up to now, they don't want to learn. They want to stay in their box. Well, they'll suffer the consequences for that. And that will not have anything to do with me, but everything to do with them. But the difference between me and them is I learn from the enemy. And I apply it in alignment with the natural order. And the single one thing that they don't want us to know about is that reality is the nature of reality. And there's many levels to this and many ways of looking at it, which is why it's the field of study I love looking into, is that this reality is not solid and that we project reality. That's what I talked about in the last video. It's very important, like when we get this right, all right, and when the King-Archetype really comes through with the principle of the one, out of one becomes 2, out of 2 becomes 3, out of 3 becomes 5, out of 5 becomes 8, 13, all of it. Fibonacci sequence spiraling out of control. And we've just started the natural cycle of creation that started on the 21st of March. We're now on the 15th of April, and I'm getting the instruction. I've got the blueprint to take the planet back. It's beautiful. Nothing can stop it. Watch me. Don't believe me. Just watch me, and you can apply yourself. Write an email. Check out my email address. Send me. Just go on Telegram. The link is underneath in the description. Write on the and just write on there and say, hey Steve, you really hit that. Blah. I want to start a channel too. Yeah. Take the freaking planet back with me. It's not only me that has to do it. This is not about let's all watch Steve do it. And what a great man Steve is. Yeah, Steve is a great man who's not going to save you. It's not how it works. I'd be lying to you if I said, yeah, I'm gonna do all of this and like the Gnostic Takeover and I'm taking the planet back, and this is bullshit. You see, the character of Neo that was portrayed in the Matrix is not one man or one woman. What it portrayed is a principle of magnetism, that which you can't study in the system. Isn't that interesting? There's nowhere you can study magnetism. You hear about it in physics or somewhere, but there's no way you can directly study magnetism. So why do you think that is? Yeah, because it takes down their control structure. So reality is energy, frequency, and vibration, and this is what it's all about. It's about our life, and it's about changing the fabric of reality, which changes when we do our internal shadow work, shadow integration. Let the emotions come up, and instead of reacting and projecting them outwards onto the people, oh, you are at fault that my life is shit, and you're this, you're that, you're not awake. No, you're projecting your own shadow onto people. If you were just to keep them in, feel them, or the most important is that you don't harm other people when your shadow comes up, when you feel the emotion of anger. Don't get it out on people, go in the forest or just dig a hole and shout in there, or do whatever. Shout in the front room if no one hears you, or if someone hears you, who gives a fuck anyway? That's how you do it. Express your emotions. This is how they've been running the Matrix. That's why the Matrix is emotional control, because no one expresses their emotions, which then leads to a dis-ease, disharmony in the flow of energy, in the flow of emotions, and that dis-ease and disharmony in the flow of energy in the form of emotion then leads eventually, over the course of time, to dis-ease physically, cancer and all of that. Cancer, which is an effect of the Satanists, the death cult, a symptom. They create death. They are cancer. They create cancer. That's why I keep saying do what they can't do. Feel. And then you go up in energy. So, beginning to finish off here for today is, got a few slides here still. Massive topic. There's so much to talk about here. So just stay tuned here on the channel that cannot be censored. Right. To understand this reality, look at what you are not supposed to do. Always do what you shouldn't do. When the public says, "Oh, this is crazy," "Oh, you're a narcissist, you're a white supremacist, you've got a inflated ego, you've got this, you've got that," because it's wetico, okay? That is programmed by the high priest of Satanism, brought into this reality by the high priest of Satanism through, oh, they're just normal people, they're just normal people, but all these normal people keep telling you that you're the insane one, because you think there's some grand conspiracy going on where they're manipulating your perception to manifest the reality that some hidden high priests of Satanism have programmed into your mind and want to block your access to the magnetic pyramid and the principle of the one that activates the Merkaba, which then would mean your freedom. You're a conspiracy theorist and they're just normal people that want the best for you. No, wrong. The truth is that these normal people have not their own thoughts, but the thoughts informed by the death cult that want to stay in power. They're peculiar people, and they're in the background hidden for a reason. Because if humanity ever found out, did their shadow work, they're fucked. They're fucked. Because how does shadow want to come into the light? It can only become the light in order to get to the light, which is the reason they can't get to me, and which is why they're freaking out. But that's not my problem. It's definitely not my problem. That's why there's a lot of helicopters around me the whole time, because the energy signature is coming from outside of the matrix bubble. But it doesn't intimidate me. In actual fact, it's funny. It's a freaking Truman Show. It's a clown circus. So always do what you're not supposed to do. And always remember, you're only changing reality. Remember, reality based on energy, frequency, and vibration. You're only changing this reality in a higher frequency state. Your frequency has to be higher than that of the environment, and therefore your will has to be stronger than the will of the environment. And this is why I teach that, because my will is strong, because I'm 4-time Aries, for example. It's all about fire, it's all about willpower. And that's what I bring to the table. And please take from it what you want, because there's infinite abundance of it. I will never stop. This is just the beginning. The Gnostic Takeover, the whole control system is ending. That's why they portray food shortages and genocide and all of that in the alternative media. The alternative media that is the merry-go-round that keeps you stuck in Plato's cave of servants of Wetiko. They even speak about Wetiko, but certainly don't speak about the field of Wetiko in the terms that I speak of. The recycling of consciousness. It's all about to end. And it's not some slow change. And by the time of 2040 the world will be this, and this is all bullshit. It's all informed by the black magicians, because they know that as soon as the magnetic pyramid kicks in, it's outside of their control and everything can transform in an instant. It can even be in one single cycle of creation, meaning 1 year, that everything changes. We're living, and this is the message of the Gnostic Takeover. And please share this everywhere you can. Share this message. Write it into emails to people. You see, I don't get onto other platforms. It's just not happening, because they're all afraid of me. I'm the megalomaniac, I'm supremacist. No, I'm someone who believes and trusts himself. I have confidence in my being. I believe in humanity. I have confidence in humanity, because the same love that goes through me goes through all of humanity, mankind. We have to do this for our children. Share this message everywhere. This is what we should be talking about. This is the King-Archetype. When I say, look at what you're not supposed to do, well, in this reality, what are, apart from the Satanists, it's not the bankers that control this reality. It's the people in the court systems, which is not law. It's court. What is a court? Fucking prison. They're the prison wardens next to the psychologists. Alright? The ancient master psychologists that know how your mind works. Alright? They talk about the heart, and the heart is the solution when they are fucking cold as ice. David Icke and Max Egan. Cold as ice. Mark Passio. Cold as ice. Yeah, because they serve the dark side of the force. The prison wardens are psychologists, ancient master psychologists, and then the next level, so you've got the high priests of Satanism that are all about, okay, this is the basis of the psychological warfare. The high priests of Satanism, then underneath them, because the high priests of Satanism, they're like conductors of an orchestra. Alright, they're conducting the field of Wetiko that informs all of they're just people that don't have their own thoughts. They're just being hacked by the matrix the whole time. That is the duty of a high priest of Satanism, is to conduct the artificial Wetiko matrix and to hack the minds of all of the people on earth. That's what they can do. 8 billion people. Yeah, and they do it from the hidden because they don't have to be in the public eye, do they? You only get to hear from the high priest of Satanism who lives in Saint Corona because I freaking went there. Drunk ayahuasca and tatura and slayed the shit out of them there. To the point that he threw me on the floor when I just wanted to make some tea. He threw me on the floor because, yeah, he lost fucking control, you cunt. And I'm allowed to say that word. If you're offended by that, then you live in your house, everything's running fine for you, and you don't want change. I'm allowed to speak the way I speak because I'm allowed to use expression of language the way I see fit because, again, I do what I want because I'm awake. If this is too radical for you, then you still have your life in order, everything runs smooth for you, and you're just doing this truth business for entertainment purposes. Because you want a nice conversation going to go hand in hand with your beer. Well, that's not what the fucking Gnostic Takeover is fucking all about. And I'm going to tell every one of you. Get the fuck involved. Your environment is being hacked by the high priests of Satanism that conduct the field of Wetiko. Underneath them are master psychologists. Alright? That mind control the politicians and all the rest underneath them, and then after the psychologists in the psychological warfare structure, you've got the judges and the lawyers. That's why the King-Archetype is all about I am the law, because I know the difference about right and wrong, for which I get all of the rights in the multiverses. Right back in that moment when I know the difference between right and wrong. I have all the rights. And in actual fact, then, if I have all the rights, I'm free and I tell you your rights. And you, high priests of Satanism, the peculiar people of the death cult, you, together with an individual who goes by the name of Errol Kaya, you will have to ask for permission to even be here. You will have to ask, because I'm going to keep raising the vibration that will make you turn insane when you refuse to learn and stay in your bubble. You will go insane, and I don't know what happens to you. And don't freaking blame me for it, because I am just an embodiment of the source of all life force that created you also. So you must learn. And in this reality, what we shouldn't be doing, it portrays that the law is all set, or we've got international law and it's like this, and although we've got the UN Charter that should prevent wars from happening, wars keep continuing because we control the Security Council members that can veto any war that happens, and everyone gets away with warfare, torture and fucking murder. And then you've got all these republics and countries when everything's run by McDonald's and freaking Facebook, freaking Google, BlackRock and Vanguard corporations that are again informed by the instructions of the high priest of Satanism, who copies the natural order information fields and spins a web of Wetiko that I have checkmated. which is why Wetiko is not allowed to come into my reality. I am anchored in the natural, organic reality, because I am the law. No one imposes their perception of the truth or their perception of the law on me, because I am the law. Because I set the law. Which is why I learn from the enemy. This is the quote. Every battle is won before it is ever fought. That's why I don't have to fight. That's why there's no battle. That's why I'm not at war. Because I know that the enemies of life, the Satanists, are at war with the truth. Why should I participate in their war? And that's why I set the law before I have to fight the battle, because every battle is won before it is ever fought. That's why the single most important thing we need to do is to set the law. I am the law. And throughout history, in all cultures, the king was the one who set the law. Because he can only be king and have the archetypal energy of the king flow through him or her. This is not only for men, by the way. This is not, I'm talking about principles. This may seem like, oh, the king and this and that, and the where's the woman in all of that? No. The queen archetype is, and the king should have masculine and feminine, the male and female energies in equilibrium, which again is the equilibrium of the Merkaba, the electric pyramid, together with the magnetic pyramid. This is why the principle of gender is one of the principles of natural law. Okay, king and queen. I am the law. And we learn from each other. And it is my responsibility as a man to take the planet back. And the Gnostic Takeover has gone through a very difficult period. And I'm telling you, I command that the dam is broken. I, as a High Commander of the highest source, I command the dam to collapse and let all of the waters of the tsunami of the archetype of the king shine the light throughout the world for our children, for our family of mankind, for our human family, for all of us. This is what we're meant to do, is to come into our power, take responsibility, and take the planet back. Let's do this together. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is, hermetically sealed and protected. Thank you for your attention. All of the very best to you. Speak to you soon, because this is just the beginning.